One of the things I wanted to ask, though, for the previous item, I noticed that Councilmember Carroll missed the vote, and I know that it's a great park item, and he's the chair and all that. Councilmember Carroll, would you like me to move to reconsider the vote so that you could vote? Or I'm happy to do it if you want. I don't want you to miss it if it's important.
Maybe we complete this item first, and then we can go back to that one.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
In an effort to lower the number of bicycle collisions in Irvine via education and enforcement efforts, Public Safety, in collaboration with Traffic Engineering, is proposing to amend our municipal code. Within the last 2 months, there have been at least 2 instances in Orange County, one in Ladera Ranch and one here in Irvine, where an e-bike's rechargeable battery caught fire while being ridden. The incident in Irvine occurred on May 26, 2023, near Northwood High School. OCFA indicated that some of the ruptured battery's internal cells were shot approximately 40 feet away, and I've included a video captured from the incident in Irvine. I'll play it right now. Now, per OCFA, lithium-ion battery fires cannot be easily extinguished due to the battery's highly combustible electrolyte fluid components. Now, imagine if this fire in this video had originated in the open space preserve.
You know, as you read through it and realize what we're trying to deal with, and then, oh, by the way, on top of everything else, they spontaneously catch on fire. Don't park it inside your home, your house might burn down. I mean, we really have to question what's going on here.
The next question I have is, UCI has its own policies, right? So this ordinance is not necessarily what UCI will adopt.
I actually was speaking
Could you talk
with,
about that a little bit?
Sure, yes ma'am. I actually conversed with a command staff member over at UCI PD just earlier this week, and they confirmed that our municipal codes are enforceable on their campus. They sometimes rely on them as a tool for enforcement. So these ordinances would be enforceable on their campus.
Okay.
First thought is just the clarification. I think we heard that this ordinance would apply to University of California, Irvine. I just want to turn Lieutenant over to our city attorney. Is that correct? How does that work?
I think that the UCI police are correct. The Irvine Municipal Code provisions, not the land use provisions, which UCI is exempt from, but the Irvine Municipal Code provisions that have to do with traffic flow are enforceable at UCI.
Really? You said I think. So is that the? I want the answer, their direct answer,
Well,
because
then-
my understanding is we have zero regulatory authority over that land.
Then I
So
don't have.
they have
then
their
I
own
don't.
public works, they have their own public safety, they have their own waste management and cable contract. Now you're telling us that we can go ahead and regulate their traffic over there?
I actually, if I understood the police department correctly, they're saying they are regulating their traffic over there consistent with the Irvine Municipal Code. I don't know the answer to the question whether an Irvine Police Department officer can enforce any law on the UCI campus. I don't know. I've never addressed that question.
Well, okay, so as an initial matter, I think it's absolutely irresponsible for anybody up here to pass an ordinance under some kind of reliance that the University of California Police Department may enforce this. I'm not trying to, do we have the answer or not?
We don't.
Okay, so we don't. So colleagues, this doesn't apply to UCI, although we think that the police officers over there might enforce it, which would be discretionary.
We don't think
where to
it.
leave
We
this.
don't think it. The police department told you that a moment ago.
How does that work?
I don't know.
Is that permissive or mandatory, Jeff?
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I don't know how we could possibly pass an ordinance if any of us think this is going to apply. If it's going to apply to UCI, you see, I might be supportive of it if it's uniformly policed inside the municipal boundaries of our city. So to go ahead and pass an ordinance tonight that we think might or might not apply within that land is very just sort of strange to me. But if you can't confirm that, how do we even address this tonight.
I don't know the answer to that question as I sit here tonight. I think there are two layers to it. One is whether the city of Irvine could enforce the city of Irvine's laws on University of California property. And number two is whether the University of California, for whatever its reasons are, enforces the city of Irvine's laws on its own property. And I don't know the answer to either of those
But maybe
questions.
you could get back to us to that,
Sure.
on that answer. I'd
Yeah.
appreciate that. Send this back to transportation, have them look at it in depth, hold a few study sessions, and get back to us within, let's say, a month or 45 days with an actual report that we can read and we can foot to, and that actually has numbers, appendices, data, things that we can all read. I'm not really ready to legislate something that seems, very much in the right direction, but maybe not everywhere where it needs to go. That would be a substitute motion.
I'll second that, Mayor.
I will not be supporting the substitute motion. Our police officers are right here in front of us saying that this is the ordinance that they need to help with public safety. I do not want someone dying during the time that we are waiting for this to go back through the commissions and getting more and more community input. This is something that is very serious to me.
At least for me, and I can only speak for myself, I have done the outreach. I have been talking to my constituents. And I hope we will go back, and I will support the original motion that we had to provide our community with the tools, our officers with the tools they need, and our community assuring them that we are on this, that we've heard them, that I've heard them. And so we can move forward. So, thank you.
The reason I support the substitute motion is, first of all, I yield to no one in my commitment to public safety, injury prevention. I understand your eagerness to do something now. If the substitute motion fails, then I would vote for the main motion, but frankly, I would want you reporting to us every 3 months, as to how this is working. Because no matter what you think now, it's going to work differently. You know that. People are insistent on going forward, fine, but damn it, I want to report every 3 months. Because when things start to go wacky here, and we start getting complaints about this and that and the other, then we better be receptive to the idea that we've got to amend our legislation, go back and do things right, because we did it too fast without forethought.
Councilmember Agran.
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll.
Yes.
Councilmember Treseder.
No.
Vice Mayor Kim.
No.
Mayor Khan.
No.
Motion fails 2-3 with Councilmember Treseder, Vice Mayor Kim, and Mayor Khan voting no.
And we had our original motion in a second as well. Please conduct a roll call vote.
Councilmember Agran.
Sorry. Councilmember Carroll.
Just want to speak again. Are we able to get some, how can we get some clarity around whether this thing is going to apply to the entire city of Irvine versus whether University UCI is just kind of carved out and it's like a permissive thing?
I believe we were going to be followed up with some detailed information on that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to provide that.
Thank you.
Okay, so can we include in the ordinance that we expect that this is going to apply on the grounds of the University of California, Irvine? I mean, can we do something, Jeff, that would, the entire city? Just some kind of statement that, we could point to.
If it was the council's desire, we could insert a new section that said, the city intends that to the extent otherwise allowed by law, these regulations apply in the entire city of Irvine, including on the campus of the University of California, Irvine.
And if we include...
And Irvine Valley College, for that matter,
And Concordia.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good add. And then can we also, do we need to hardwire Councilmember Agran's request to have a 3-month periodic check back, and at least in the first year or something, so we hear that, or is that something that?
I would not recommend putting that in the ordinance. If the
Okay.
council wants to make a second motion to that effect, it certainly could, or if, frankly, Councilmember Agran can agendize whatever he wants, whenever he wants, following our rules, and so we could just have it happen that way. I don't think it's really necessary by virtue of a motion, but that's certainly the council's discretion. As to the amendment to the ordinance, you will need the consent of the maker and the second in order to do that, if they are amenable.
To include the entire city,
That's section
that
4 that I just
through
referenced.
the chair?
I'm not going to support that because we don't do that with any of our other ordinances. So can we just take a vote?
Well, I would make a substitute motion, Mayor, that we include the entire, the provision that Jeff said, just so that we have a clear statement that this thing is going to apply, so that we have this, and I could support that, to this e-bike ordinance would apply for everyone utilizing an e-bike in the entire municipal boundaries of the city of Irvine.
I'll
We're
second.
taking another substitute motion on the original.
You can have another substitute motion on the original.
Well, or it's just an amendment, isn't it?
Yes.
Not an amendment, it's a substitute motion.
Councilmember Carroll characterized the motion as a substitute motion. He could just as well have characterized it as an amendment.
Well, and I move to whatever's easier.
Either way, I second it.
Right, so we do have a substitute motion and a second. City Clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
Councilmember Agran,
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll,
Yes.
Councilmember Treseder,
Could I please clarify what we're voting on?
So the substitute motion is the same as the main motion. So it is for the adoption of the ordinance, but it would include a new section 4 to the ordinance, which would state that it is the intent of the city of Irvine that to the extent allowed by law, the regulations in the ordinance will be applicable throughout the municipal boundaries of the city of Irvine, including on all college and university campuses in the city.
Nope.
Vice Mayor Kim,
No.
Mayor Khan.
No.
Motion fails 2-3 with Councilmember Treseder, Vice Mayor Kim, and Mayor Khan voting no.
And we're going back to our original motion. City Clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
Wait, point of information here. I want to get some clarification now. So, by virtue of that vote, are we not saying that this doesn't apply to colleges throughout Irvine?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember Agran. We are not saying that. In the end, the answer to that question is a legal question. It came up in the course of the conversation tonight. Either the city of Irvine's e-bike regulations do or they don't apply on university campuses throughout the city. And so it's important to make the record that by voting that down, we did not create an exemption should it be the law that e-bike regulations do apply in those places.
All right, before we complete the vote on this, then, is this a first reading?
It is.
So between first reading and second reading, can we get a definitive opinion, at least, on whether this is applicable on campuses?
Absolutely.
Very well.
To have, actually, first I wanted to follow up with Mr. Melching. I know that the last time we discussed this, Councilmember Carroll had some questions about whether the Irvine Police or the UCI Police could enforce Irvine ordinances on campus. Would you mind please answering that?
So we can.
You can. All right, good.
We actually have an agreement with UCI, an MOU that goes back to, I think, 2016, if my memory's right, where everybody agrees that Irvine PD can go on to UCI property and enforce, among other things, Irvine laws. So, good news.
Thank you. And if I recall correctly, that is what you said pretty definitively during the discussion last time. All right, good.
Yes, ma'am.
So, yeah.
Thank you. City Clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
Councilmember Agran,
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll,
Yes.
Councilmember Treseder,
Could you please clarify what the vote is again?
This is the vote on the ordinance unamended.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kim,
Yes.
Mayor Khan.
Yes,
Carries 5-0.
thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. And having completed the agenda, is there a motion to adjourn the city council meeting?
Point of order, we were going to come back to that one previous item just to ask Councilmember Carroll if you'd like to vote on it. I know because you're chair of the Great Park and it was a Great Park item. I want to make sure that we don't do an end run around you or anything like that. Would you like to? Oh, would you like to have us re-vote on
Point of order,
6?
Mayor, can you please chair the meeting? Thank you, Mayor.
I think we're going to move on to adjournment at this point. Okay,
Because
thank
we have
you.
our answer. Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn the city council
Funny,
meeting?
that's so weird. Motion to adjourn, I move.
I'll second. City clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
Councilmember Agran,
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll,
Yes.
Councilmember Treseder,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kim,
Yes.
Mayor Khan.
Yes,
Carries 5-0.
thank you. Meeting is now adjourned.